Once again, my fellow Davarians, it's a great pleasure to come and address you this evening to talk to you about the Draftopolis, the city of the wind, Draftopolis, and Dunstantinople, the dunes, the city of the sands. Okay, so Draftopolis is the city of the wind and the breast. Not the breast. Sorry, that's kind of tiring. The breath that you breathe. So that represents Draftopolis, and that's the city where all flesh resides. You understand? Because if it's not in the Draftopolis, if breath is not coming in 24/7, all flesh dies. All flesh you can be considered to be dead meat. So the only way that flesh continues to exist on a day-to-day basis in the here and now is that it resides in the city of Draftopolis, the city of the wind, the city of the breath that keeps us alive 24/7. And that is the most essential. We are the citizens as flesh beings. Our flesh is what I call respiropolis, respirationist. All right, because each cell has to have respiration going inside, especially the mitochondria is the one that does all the respiration. It comes in through our nose, into this body of ours, but then the mitochondria inside each of our cells, and each of our cells have at least 200 to 100 mitochondria, at least. And there's some of them that can have a lot of mitochondria, like the brain cells, thousands upon thousands of mitochondria. But the mitochondria is the one that emulates the breathing, the respiration, and in so doing produces the energy of electricity that is needed in our bodies, and that's the currency for our sustenance every day. So all of the mitochondria, which is a female, by the way, and imitates the process of respiration, is the one that is energizing all flesh. You understand? So we are respirationists, because if it were not that the case, we will not be alive. That's what keeps us alive. Okay, and then the other portion. So the living cell is a respirationist, because he needs to be breathing. He needs to be producing electricity as it breathes. So that's how it is. And there's no denying, there's no getting away from it. And then once a cell that is inside, a living cell that is a respirationist, comes to an end, when it expires, it says that it duplicates itself up to 50 times, an average. Not all the cells that last longer, but an average cell in our body duplicates itself 50 times, and then it goes out of the body as debris, decompositions, upscaling soils triumphantly, I call it. DUST, decomposition of debris, upscaling triumphantly. That's what the dust does. It comes out, the dust falls to the ground, and it upscales the seeds, and the seeds, the rain, or the trees. And so I call it the decomposition, upscaling the seeds, the rain. So that's dust. That's the job of the dust, to do that. So once you become dust, you should just let it go. You should let the cell go, because God has given the charge of the seed and the rain and the ground to work on bringing it out to life again as it comes and becomes a tree again. So that's how you don't need to grab onto the dust or to anything that has become a debris of the composition. But that is what was given to men to do. When he ate of the tree, he was told, you are now going to be a draft cell. You're going to identify with a dust. Dust is already a dead cell. So the respirationist in us is the living cell, and the dead cell in us, the one that is the dust, I call that the expirationist, because it's a cell whose existence has expired and it has become dust. But that's where man is identifying himself with everything that he can play that is made out of the dust. And the dust comes from the trees, the dust comes from the animals, comes from every living creature. So, but it is the living cells that are the ones that are running the show, and those are in the Draftopolis, the city of the breath, and that's where we exist. But somehow what God has able to do is to show you the power that he has for you to have no choice but to follow what he says. So when he said that you were going to be dust, you were not going to be identified as draft, like he has said. You are the breath of life when he breathed into our nostrils. You are a neshama, but he told him after that, you're going to identify as dust. So that has become the case throughout history up until now, up until 150 or 200 years ago. They created the biggest success of God's word, saying that you were going to become dust, in the sense that that's when all the scientists of the world got together and decided that the Big Bang is how you explain the existence of this world. The Big Bang is the idea that everything came out from a grain of dust that exploded. A grain of dust. G-O-D. Grain of dust. The grain of dust become your God. Like God has said to Adam and Eve from the very beginning, finally reach its epitome, at the highest fulfillment. Because all men agree to uphold the Big Bang, in which the dust became a grain of dust, became the explanation for all the existence. A grain of dust, energizing. Okay, and Elohim, it means energies. All right, so that's how it was came, and that's it came to be realized. So people are not given credit that they are the citizens of Draftopolis, but there's no way of getting away from it. You are only a citizen of Draftopolis as a physical human being that has cells. That's all you are. And everything else that you want to identify with from the dust is only redundant. It's not necessary. So you understand, all the thing that is necessary for life for us to have is to be able to breathe and to be able to do the transmission. Okay, so that's why you see in the background, I'm using as my background, the people that are looking onto the wind and looking onto the dunes. What comes out from Draftopolis, what comes out from above, is the air. That's what you need 24/7. That's the most essential thing. As a citizen of Draftopolis, you are a respirationist, and that's what is essential for you. And with that, your cells. I put the cell in there inside the cell phones, because everybody's accustomed to look at the cell phone. Inside the cell phone, there's the real initial original cell phones. Those are the cells, because the cells inside of us are communicators. You have an industry of communication. Each cell is a powerhouse in and of itself, and each DNA are the different characters that each cell can represent. So God makes a powerhouse of energy, and then with built-in characters. Then because DNA, there's a DNA that's a character for a lizard, a DNA for a snake, a DNA for a tree, and all the different shapes. So God creates the cell, which is a powerhouse, and then he puts it built-in character, so determine what this powerhouse is going to become. So what we do in this world, of the ruination of the expiration cells that we work with the corporation, corpse means dead, oration means saints. When we work with the saint, speaking on behalf of the dead cells, what we do is we create something with a certain shape or certain purpose, and we put in built-in batteries, okay? That needs to be charged and charged over again. But God creates powerhouses. The whole cell is a powerhouse with a character that determines what that DNA determines what that thing is going to be. But everything, the main job of every cell is to be the powerhouse, the electric plant, which is completely continually and free given or motion by the air coming in and out of us, coming in and out. That's how you become a free house of energies. You understand? So this is the whole thing to understand, that we're moving into that direction of understanding what is important. So science to God, when it comes to science, the word science, which means das, that's the objective, is to live in das 24/7. And so we have translated das to knowledge and science. But the science that we describe to be science is the farthest, is the most, should be the last thing to be defined as science, because science means intimacy. What God means is when the air is penetrating our nostrils and is penetrating our cells, birth is given to more cells. Each second of the day, 3.8 million cells are born with every breath that we take. Now that's what I call the abracadabra manifestation. Go try to have VO3 and all this, context flux, context, and all these things that want to create character, consistency, and want to impress you with abracadabra manifestation by speaking your ideas into the pixel screen. This is the real screen of God. This flesh, by the way, bazaar means also broadcaster or preacher. The flesh itself is the meaning of good news. So when you say you bring in good news into the world, it's bazaar is the word. It's actually also the word for flesh. The same word for flesh in Hebrew is the same word for good news or good tidings. You know that? So the flesh is the giver and the preacher of the gospel. It's the phone. It's the cell phone that from the very beginning has been communicating. Okay, so it's so that we need to present to the world the good tidings of the functionality of the flesh. Then you're talking the real preaching of the gospel. The real preaching of the good tidings is to speak of the functionality that takes place in the flesh 24/7, as it's being managed by the breath and moisture of the air and the draft that is penetrating and is going everywhere and shaping it and giving it to it all that it needs to be alive 24/7. So if a person is not speaking the good tidings to describe the functionality of this flesh, which is a magnificent, more better than every other AI that's trying to compete out there among themselves. No, my friends, everything that the AI is trying to impress you with, we have it at the best. Okay, the thing that because you sold your flesh out, your flesh is the best example of God nurturance. It's the sunshine of his science, of his intimacy. When the water, when the air, when the frequencies get together, those are the three intimacies. When they infuse themselves, we are the son that is born to reveal that nurturance. This flesh in the here and now is the highest proof and the highest representation of how great and how intimately God loves us to be in fellowship with us 24/7. You understand? But when you have been taught to demonize the flesh and think that that's the worst thing to do, that in my flesh do no good thing, you have the sunshine of God's revelation in the here and now, and that's why you are suffering. You have nothing to manifest. When people are preaching the good news, are giving you good tidings, they ought to be talking about the functionality that is taking place in the flesh, because bazaar is flesh and bazaar is also good tidings. Okay, so everybody that does not speak so is a fake news. Okay, they're not giving you what you were born to hear. But thank goodness I'm here to deliver you, from the nonsense that has infected the whole world. The whole world has been put in darkness. But that is part of a manifestation of the indignation of God, that he will gather all nations and will make them and then put them in complete blindness. And that's where you are right now. So he's in complete control. It's not like you are a foe that he has to deal with. You are a defeated foe before God if you are not listening to Torah. You are completely imprisoned in creeds, in belief systems that do not allow you to see your true heritage. And that's what I put up there, the ALPS, the POW, and the DMT. The ALPS means the alphabetization, local parenthesis. Okay, we were made in the image of the alphabet. Alphabet means father, so that wherever we are the ones representing the Father. We are there to take care and attend to all the needs of creation. All right, so this is the wonderful things that we're going to understand. And then the POW, that's why I said pow, because you've been out of hand, you've been misbehaving. I'm here to give you pow. That's what my parents used to, not behaving, you're going to get pow. So I'm here to give you some pow, some correction, so that you will remember who you are. So the pow is to remind you that you are your heritage is parenthood of words. We are making here to make sure that every word that we speak is describing the marvelous way we have been packaged and put together. It's talking about the processes of the flesh and the way in which the draft travels through each one of us and is able to procreate each one of our cells 3.8 million per second. Now that is a marvel of marvels, you understand? This is not just a little grain forming themselves and evolving as they collide. Atoms doing that. No, this is magnificent, not even artificial intelligence. It's almighty intelligence, all right, that is taking place. And it's about time that people begin to recognize this, because that's why you're lost. Everybody's giving you fake news. Basar means good tidings, and basar also means, the same word also means flesh. So when people are proclaiming the good tidings, what they call the gospel means flesh in Hebrew. Basar means gospel, or good news, or good tidings. So everybody from every religion that has not, they say, I brought you the gospel, but they were not talking to her about the function of the flesh. It all has been fake, because this is the judgment of God, that he was going to put all nations in darkness. You know, the way of the wicked is as darkness. They do not know at what they stumble. Okay? And that's how God proves that he is God, because this is the way he judges the nations that forget that they are energeticals, that they are that God made us in the image of the Elohim, of the energeticals. That is, each letter of the Hebrew is an energetical that creates everything in the here and now. Okay? And he's doing it 24/7. Okay, so I am beginning to get down to business, to the nitty-gritty of the real understanding of what we're supposed to do. And then we're going to be talking about the DMT. The DMT is the draft miraculous transmissions. The draft, the breath. The breath is trying to communicate. The frequencies are sending a communication. You know, the air gets together. The moisture gets together inside of you. And this three things infuse. What happened in this body of flesh, 3 scientists are working. Scientists means people that are having intimacy with each other, okay? The best, most productive intimacy is the intimacy that the air has with this body. It penetrates the body through the nostrils. The mother cells, the mother powerhouses, which are the mitochondria, take on the respiration, give birth to ATP, the energy, and then all the other cells are being born. This is the birthing of millions, 3.8 million per second you're birthing yourself. So you are not just formed in the womb, you continue to be formed in the womb, in the ocean of the air. And as you breathe, you keep on being formed. People have deprived you of this understanding. No wonder, you feel so depressed. No wonder you feel like you're nothing. You are such a marvel of existence. You are the sunshine of his nurturance. You are the son of righteousness that's coming with healing in his wings, because that's this flesh. The flesh is the greatest, what I call the greatest philanthropist there is. When you breathe in, you have to use oxygen, and it's only about 20% of oxygen in the air. But of that 20%, when your body breathes it in, it only keeps about 1/4 of it, and the rest is sent out to be shared with other species. It's just automatically made to be that way. So it's the embodiment of charity, embodiment of altruism. All of that is in our bodies. So woe unto you if you have spoken evil of your own body. Okay, because this is where the marvel of marvels is happening. And this is what I'm going to turn you to turn your mind around and wake up to the reality that we are in the greatest situation that we have ever had. And all religions have tried to bash the flesh, tried to speak evil of it, tried to say that there's nothing that good that dwelling in it. And in so doing, they have deprived you from the place where the ALEFBET, the Father of all creation, is shining in all of his splendor to show the balance of his care. There's not a single cell in your body that is greedy or you want to keep things for itself. When he acts as such, like it becomes a cancerous cell that wants to outgrow the other cells, then the immune system that you have knows how to balance that, tries to fight that off. And if you have the right nutrients, because you're not in a place where the earth has been deprived of all these minerals, your body knows how to fight and creates the balance to be able to do that. So this is the most magnificent temple of Hesed, of righteousness. We have it in ourselves. To me, the greatest temple there is the single cell that is a powerhouse that comes with built-in characters. Just like Egypt used to put all the hieroglyphics in the walls. All the hieroglyphics were different drawings of animals, and in all their walls that was living letter. Okay? And they made those hieroglyphics, these messages with the animals that they knew how to draw. So guess what? This has been the case all this time. All right. So I'm bringing back to you this understanding that if you've been deprived of it, no wonder, you are in a situation that you have nothing to answer, So when the AI is trying to make you wonder, make you be in awe of the little things that are coming in the pixel, I can say, this little finger, or even this middle finger has more cells going on for itself, has more cells being created in there, has more consistent characters than any of the AI, video generators that are trying to come up out there. And each one of myself, even in my pinky or my middle finger, I have more cells growing up, and I'm more outstandingly put together, than all the other video generators in all of the pixels in people's monitors that's going on right now. So I know how to boldly answer this so-called generation that is scaring you with the AI. The AI is nothing to me, and it shall be nothing to you. It's the work of your own hands. Do not be afraid of the work of your own hands. You have fed it. You have given it what it has. Do not let people turn that around and make it see that it's something of its own. That it evolved out of nothing. You had done the whole thing. Do not let people rob you of the things that are yours and make you scared of your people working your own hands. That's the worst stupidity there could be. All right, so we're going to take a handle on ourselves. We're going to begin to understand, how faithfully and wonderfully we are being made. For behold, how fearfully and wonderful we are, I will praise thee, for I am fearful. Remember the song I just shared with you? So this is what I'm talking about. We need to get back to that. We need to get back to the good time, to our understanding, and not be afraid of anything. The way we are, the way we this flesh. That's why this flesh is, the Bible says that he's the Lord of all flesh. And when he began to close the business down for a little while, because all flesh have corrupted themselves. I mean, the scientists have gotten to the point that they have messed up with the flesh. They have used their so-called external science to create all these creatures. The people with the head of a bird, the people with the head of a lion, and all this mixing of creatures. That was defiling. They have corrupted the flesh, and they created all kinds of creatures that people worship as God before. But that's the messing up of all flesh, and that's when God said that they just got out of hand. And so we're moving in that direction again. Transfiguration, trying to make creatures, mixing species and stuff like that. But, God is not going to let it go in that direction now. Because he has opened my eyes of me. His servant. I'm Zechariah's David Emmanuel Castro Stevenson. Zechariah means God remembers the process of the breath. And David means the one that hooks us up to Emmanuel, the power of God within us. Castro means powerhouse. And Stevenson is the crowned son. So he has given me understanding to see what is going on in this age. And my name is being activated for the processes of the here and now, so that I can share them with you. And I can see what is wrong with you, what has been taught to you. And the whole idea is not to take the words that you have learned and to discard them, but to take those words and laundering them and put them back where they are working. Okay? Everybody's given a set of words, and your job is to hook the words that you have with where they're working 24/7, and then employ the word there. Because there are beautiful words in all religions. I was raised in the Christian religion, and there's a lot of good words in there. Okay, the word Jesus, for example, the word good news, by the way, which is what they say, we're going to preach you the good news. The word good news just means good tidings, right? Which means basar in Hebrew, which means the flesh. The flesh, basar, means preaching or proclamation of good news. And also it means flesh, the flesh that you have. So it means that whoever is bringing you good news is talking to you about the functionality of the flesh. When God called Abraham out of Ur of the Chaldees, Ur in Hebrew means light. Ur of the Chaldees, when he called him out of Ur of the Chaldees, he told him, Lech lecha. I mean, go to thyself. Go to you. Go to understand me as I am doing all the processes that are happening within each one of yourselves. And you'll understand that the kind of intimacy that I'm providing to be with you 24/7 is nowhere to be found in the light of the Chaldees. Okay? Because I have the light of all things, and I'm going to show you the kind of love and intimacy. I penetrate you, and I give birth to you 3.8 million times per second. Go tell me where in the world can you find that kind of, that kind of birthings taking place. I breathe into you, and your mother, the mitochondria, she breathes in and she gives you energy. Half of your body weight is provided for you every day by way of energy. And that's all done by the mother of mother, which is the mitochondria inside each one of the cells. Where can else you go in the Ur of the Chaldees and find that kind of care, that kind of intimacy, that kind of love bringing and upholding and carrying? I osculate you, I kiss you whenever you're breathing in. You know, this is what you understand when you can preach the gospel. So the word gospel means that they are telling you these processes that I mentioned you. So you understand that you're in awe just with every breath that you take of your existence. Nothing can take you away. There's no news in this world that is greater than that and more powerful than that. Okay? Man, I'm enjoying myself with this new avatar here. This is I feel like it's too dark, but that's okay. I'm going to be using it. Okay, so this is the whole idea, my friends. So, okay, so let's wake up to our heritage. So I'm going to give you the out. That means alphabetization, local parentis. You know, so you will be the parents in every corner of the world where you exist. You're there to provide an understanding of the care, of the infusion of the sciences. You know, the ocean of the frequencies that are found in the air and the ether are coming in packed with messages. All the words that God spoke at the beginning, He spoke them in the present tense. You know, it was the translators of the Bible that introduced the past tense and the future tense in there. But there's no such thing in the Torah. Everything is in the present tense. It's a manual for what is happening right now. It's like when you go to a company, what they give you is the manual is in the present tense. Of how to assemble this product, how to serve this product, how to do this, everything in the present tense. Because that's where they're doing everything to earn their living. And so it is the Torah. Everything is in the present tense because this is where the breath of God and the respiration of God is doing everything in the here and now to give birth to you 3.8 million times per second. So at the end of the day, He has given birth to you 330 billion times in 24 hours. All right? Now we're talking. There's no such technology like that all the nations of the world put together up until from the beginning up until now have never been able to create something that will manufacture a man that many times per second. You know, because in the corporation you have only been taught that you're not a single person, but in the respiration, in the celluration, in what's happening inside of you, and the draftopolis, you will understand that to make just one single of you, there's 37.2 trillion cells that have to be constantly kept inside of your body, being duplicated and being, taken care of, just so that the Word can have fellowship in explaining what's going on in the world. And you having this setup of care, this setup of intimacy like no other one, and you don't get to see about these fantastic functionings that happen in place inside your own flesh, you have lost the whole purpose for your existence. Your flesh ought to be your son of righteousness with healing in his messages. You have to be able to occupy yourself in that profession. And then you are bringing good news. So that's the first thing. I was giving good news, but on none of the news were talking to me about the functionality, the awesome functionality of the breath and moisture and respiration, that it does everything inside of myself. I did not hear a single preacher. I did not hear a single rabbi. I didn't hear a single person talking about those things. But those are the things that are essential for me to be alive in the here and now. There's wonder of wonders, miracles of miracles. So like I said, they're magnificent words in the religion. So what is wrong? Somebody tell you, I'm giving you good tidings. Okay, now that you know what good tidings are, you can say, okay, tell me about the magnificence of the flesh. I want to hear about myself. I want to hear about you, man. Let's talk about that. That's what it's done. And have them expound themselves and get lost in all the awesome splendor of the functionalities and processes that are taken care of within you. Have them speak like that. Because that's the real you. The real you is each one of ourselves that have the DNA. The DNA is a copy, a photocopy. So the real physical unit here now is a respirational cell. So you say for the people that say good news, but they don't explain to you the functionality of flesh, they are using the word in the wrong way, and that word is dead, therefore, because it's not telling you where the greatest news is, or the best balance and altruism that is taking place in the here and now in the earth, that is happening inside of our flesh, and is being done by the breath of God that penetrates us and gives us birth anew and anew and anew again. Okay, so you understand that all these things are really happening in the here and now, and is happening in our flesh. And you dare not speak evil of the Son of Righteousness with this flesh. S-U-N, I call it. This science means intimacy. See, the frequencies get together with the air and the water, and they do the crocheting. As the air comes inside of you, and all the gases and the helium and the hydrogen, and all the other the gases that are happening, are coming together, as I coming inside of you, and with the frequencies, because the spoken in the present tense, when God says, let light be there, and light is there. That's how it's translated. It's not like, let there be light, and there was light. There's no such thing as was. God spoke. God says, light be there, and light is. And God sees to it that is functional, and he sees to it that is good. And he doesn't say God saw that it was good. The word good is tobu, it's functional. When God says, light be there, light is, and then he sees to it that it works. Just like a businessman. When a man creates a business, he's going to say, okay, this product is going to be there, and then he sees to it that it functions. And that's why he hires everybody in the company to see to it that the work functions. That means, and he saw that it was good. All this stuff in the past tense makes you forget that God is the God of the here and now, running everything. So everything that he say is a word that says in the present tense, and it's still running. Okay? Light be there, light's there and still here, and he's looking to it that it functions. Okay? And that's how it works. It's all in the present tense. Okay, the greatest books in all history that have always made most money for companies and more money for countries are not the bestsellers, the fictional characters, right? But is the manual that is not even for sale because people put it in the patent office and they don't sell it. It is the manual, that little manual that generates the more income and revenue for any company, to be able to pay their employees. So the manual is always for the here and now. Okay, so that's exactly how the Torah is, and it has been taught to you with past tenses and all this crap, in this format. You have not apprehended, you have not comprehended what the respiration, process is doing inside of you. You have not understand the processes of intimacies of this ocean of frequencies, ocean of air, and ocean of water as they combine together. They have this threesome going on. And I am the sunshine that is born. This flesh is the sunshine that is born from these three scientists going at it. They're having a threesome, and I am being presented to the world. And that nurtures, I am manifested. That's intimacy of intimacy. Science is an intimacy that drives you, that protects you, that gives birth to you. That's the real meaning of science. So everybody else that want to tell you that science has to do with going out on the stars, going out far away from us, places that have nothing to do with us getting the next breath or getting the next alphabet so we can think. Those are only things that you get, and your job as an alphabetarian, is to watch out that the word is functioning in the right economy in which you can see it working 24/7, and it's only an economy of the draft, of the wind that passes through us and it gets to do the job, that we get to see that all words are functioning in the here and now. Otherwise, you will lose sight of it. So your job is to find the word that has been left is functional. So good news is a dysfunctional word in Christianity. Okay? Because if they're not addressing the body, as a matter of fact, they curse the body. They say, there's no good thing dwelling in my flesh. And all these things that you have been taught. So, see the marvels that I see. So I ain't about to change. I went through this whole thing. And so that's why the righteous falleth 7 times. I have gone to these places, and all my words fell to the ground because they forced me, by their teachings or by their creeds, to just consider everything from the perspective of the dust, from the things that have died, from the cells that have died. And I went through corporation as a corporation, because even churches are registered as non-profit corporations, but nonetheless, it's a corporation. Corpse means dead, and oration means speak. So they all spoke for the dead. Okay? Because they have not understood. But you will get a clear understanding of this once I get through with you. I'm going to make you see that everything, the marvel of marvels, is taking place in the here and now, and there's no reason for you to be afraid. Okay, so this is just a little me. I was just testing the background and testing this avatar. I didn't know I was going to get going. But in any case, that's enough for today. We'll stop right here. All right. Okay.
Pow, pow goes the powerhouse. And the CBDC man has come to deliver you from the empty land, from the ones who have been silenced, to the promised land of the ALPHABET, which is the original place for the soul of a man, where she can now get her jubilee and abide safe like she's never been, in the power of the Father, in the powerhouse. Cause that's what Wordectric, directed in the ALPHABET, we're connected. Wordectric, directed in the powerhouse, we're connected. Truth in the Torah's where it is, that's right. And whether you like it or not, I just don't give a damn. Cause in this thing, the end is gonna be for sure, as God ordained before this song began to score. This ain't no lie, we bout to fly. Cause with the truth there's nothing that can be denied. It's the CBBC man is hooking you up to the ALEFBET, to the powerhouse, which is where he is been. The CBBC man is gonna hook you up. Cause that's Wordectic, Davarectic, in the ALEFBET, we're connected. Wordectic, Davarectic, to the one else I'm genuflecting. Wordectic, Davarectic, to the powerhouse I'm connected. And then I want to get your power back, cause you will find it there. The powerhouse not scared, you won't be silenced. Nobody can touch what you will find in there. Gets to cut the masking pack of lies the righteous now decries. Cause the CBEC man is gonna hook you up to the powerhouse. Lead the power show, ride this moon around. To the powerhouse.
Lead the power show, ride this mill around. To the power up.
Habakkuk 2:14. For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Adonai glory, as the water covering the sea.
Here comes the name of Adonai, from afar his anger burning in thick rising smoke. His lips are full to the brim with fury, his tongue a consuming fire. His breath is like an overflowing stream that rises high to squeeze out all the necks, to sift the nations with the sieve of vanity, and put a bridle in the people's mouth to lead them astray.
According to their deeds, fury to his foes, reprisal to his enemies. To the coastlands he will repay their due. In the west they will fear the name of Adonai, and likewise in the east his glory. For he will come like a pent-up stream, impelled by the spirit of Adonai. Then our Redeemer will come to Zion, to those in Jacob who's turned from rebellion. So says Adonai. Change the peoples so that they will have your lips to call the name of Adonai, all of them, and serve him with one accord. And he shall judge many peoples, and rebuking the strong nations afar. Their skill to destroy will be instead peaceful joy, and they won't teach war anymore.